Hey, hello again, and welcome to part two of my favorite albums of 2018. Basically, I had to do this in two different recording sessions because I'm doing this on my phone, and my phone apparently has a 30-minute limit, so hopefully I can just manage to do this in two parts. I suppose if not, I'll have to do a third part. But we're going to continue from where we left off. I'm basically just going to go ahead and throw the fucking numbers out the window because the way I see it, these aren't really ranked anyway, so are the numbers really necessary? I don't think so. And I really screwed up the numbers. Anyway, on the other one. So we're going to continue where we left off. Next up, we have Demetori with Anatomy or Antinomy of Common Flowers. Demetori is an instrumental metal band from Japan, a guitar duo of two brothers. And they're another one of these Japanese metal bands that do covers of that video game series Toho, as I've talked about on here before with some other bands. It's just really simple, fun to listen to, catchy instrumental metal. Very melodic, some cool riffs. Yeah, that's all I got to say about it. But they've never disappointed me. All their albums are really, really cool. So yeah, Demetori. Yeah, Demetori. So next we have Archgoat with the Luciferian crown. And as you can see, these are ones I don't own physically. So yeah. Anyway, Archgoat, the Luciferian crown. Archgoat, a band I'm usually not a fan of. I really don't care for their first two albums. I did not become a fan of this band until they put out the Apocalyptic Triumphator, and because that to me, it was more like just really good, solid black and death metal. It's, they're known for being one of the the most famous war metal bands, but with this album with the Apocalypse Triumphator and with this new album, I really feel like it's not just blast beats and fucking one tempo the whole goddamn time. There's a lot of variety within the riffs. There's a lot of cool tempo changes. They even break out into some fucking solos on this album, which are really, really good. So that was surprising to hear. So, yeah. The new Archgoat, I really, really enjoyed it. So the Archgoat with the Luciferian crown. Next up, we go to Hyperdontia with Nexus of Teeth. This is released on Dark Descent. It is their debut on Dark Descent. I'm just going to go ahead and say this. You like Undergang and Infernal, just go fucking buy this. You will love the piss out of it. I love those bands, and I absolutely love this. And part of the similarity to Undergang and Infernal, the vocalist and guitarist is just the vocalist, no instruments on this album. And I think he's got maybe one or two other guys from Undergang and Infernal. I don't know. This dude, he's got a lot of different bands that have a lot of relations to, his other bands. But Hyperdontia, just like Undergang and Infernal, is just more of that really rotten, filthy, just dirty sounding death metal. Nothing sounds clean here. Not the drums, not the bass, not the guitars, not the vocals, nothing. And the drums actually have a pretty unique sound to them. Very sort of just, I don't know, it's hard to describe, but I really enjoyed the drum sound that they had on here. It's not really like a clean crystal drum sound, but it's, I don't know, it works, for this kind of death metal. But yeah, this is just an amazing, amazing release. I love this artwork too. That is really, really fucking cool. Very fitting for the music itself on here. But yeah, like I said, if you love Undergang and Infernal, I don't see why you wouldn't enjoy this. I really don't. If I had to pick some of my favorite tracks on here, I would say Teeth and Nails, Aura of Flies, and Existence Denied, the final track. Very, very solid, ugly as fuck death metal. Really good. Next up, we go to Infernal Coil with Within a World Forgotten. This is released on Profound Lore. This is their debut full length. Infernal Coil, pretty similar to Nattravnen in my opinion. Blackened, death, grind, and noise. This is more on the death metal side than Nattravnen is, though, in my opinion. And this is also a lot more atmospheric. It's not atmospheric all the time, but when it does get atmospheric is when I think it really, the highlights of this album really show. But, once again, like Nattravnen, it's just really fucking chaotic, destructive as all hell, just grinding black death and noise. Yeah. Highly, highly recommend this one. Infernal Coil, Within a World Forgotten. Such an intense fucking listen. Next up, we go to Unlucky Morpheus with Change of Generation. I've talked about Unlucky Morpheus on here before. One of my all-time favorite Japanese bands, next to Dragon Guardian. And, of course, their vocalist, Fuki, is my all-time favorite female vocalist. Unlucky Morpheus, I loved seeing just their how they've evolved since their Toho cover days. Now they're doing their own original material, and it's just turned out really, really great. They got a full lineup now. They've added another guitar player. They've added a violinist, which fits very, very well into the music. While mainly being known as a power metal band, there is definitely much more than just power metal going on here. There's some melodic death metal in here. There's some gothic stuff on here. Quite a bit of symphonic stuff. There's even just some kind of J-rock, J-pop kind of sounding stuff on here. Kind of like something you would hear on an anime opening song or something. Stuff like that. But they've always had a couple songs like that on some of their albums anyway, so I guess that's really nothing new. But yeah. Really solid stuff, very solid playing, just really fucking good, catchy, melodic metal from Japan. Unlucky Morpheus, Change of Generation. Love this band. Next up, we go to Horrendous with Idol. This is released on Season of Mist. This is their fourth full length. They used to be on Dark Descent, now they're on Season of Mist. Horrendous, to be honest, is a band that I've always heard good things about. And I've always wanted to go and check out their full discography, but I only heard a couple songs here and there, but I really loved what I heard. And unfortunately, Horrendous were just a band that I never really gave my full attention, and I really regret it now because after listening to Idol all the way through, I really, really loved it. I was like, okay, I gotta go and check out their back catalog. And I did, and it's really cool because now I've just heard, how they've evolved and got to this point, from listening to, The Chills, Ecstasis, I think that's how you say the second one, and Anaretta. Anaretta was already moving in that progressive death metal style, and now I see why they got to that with this album. This is definitely their most, this is definitely their proggiest album yet, and I think what they were really going for here was just that 90s technical progressive death metal sound, the later Pestilence, the later Death, Atheist, that kind of stuff. I really love the new bassist that they've added to the lineup. He does a fantastic job on here. This album is just full of great riffs, great hooks, memorable songwriting, and just great guitar work. I love the drums. Everything. Horrendous is just a really, really solid band, and I can see why they're being talked so highly of. They've definitely become one of my favorite bands to listen to at the moment. I've been, like I said, after checking their back catalog, after listening to this, Horrendous is one of my favorite bands to listen to at the moment. So, Horrendous, Idol, very, very good. You're going to be hearing a lot about this one this year, not just from me. And next up, we go to Revocation with The Outer Ones. This is one I don't own physically, so of course, like I've been doing, I'm just going to talk briefly here. Revocation never puts out a bad album, and this is no exception. It's more of just that really solid technical death thrash metal that, only Revocation knows how to do in their own special way. David Davison, he's a great composer, he's a great songwriter, as is the rest of the guys in this band. They just never really seem to disappoint. If you like Revocation, I think it's safe to say you're really going to get what you want. So, Revocation, The Outer Ones, really solid album. Next up, we go to Beyond Creation with Algorythm. This is their third full-length released on Season of Mist. Beyond Creation, definitely one of my favorites in the technical progressive death metal realm. From Canada, is it their best album? I don't know, but it's really, really fucking good. Beyond Creation has never put out a bad album either. And once again, this album is no exception. It's really, really good. I love the guitar work on here. Just, once again, everything. I love everything about this album. I will say a little subtle change that they did with this. They seem to go for making some of these songs having more like a cinematic kind of feel. So that's kind of different from Beyond Creation, but it's still the progressive death metal from Beyond Creation that you know and love. So yeah, that has not really changed. And really happy that I got to see him on the Obscura tour. It was my first time seeing him, and I was definitely not disappointed. I can't wait to go see him again. Yeah, Beyond Creation, Algorythm, really good. Next up, we go to Inferi with Revenant. This is another technical death metal band, this time from Nashville, Tennessee, if I remember correctly, and another band that I was introduced to from the Obscura tour. I had heard a lot about Revenant. A lot of people were saying good things about it, and after seeing them live and being very impressed with their performance, really enjoyed it, I knew I had to go check this album out. And yeah, it's really, really fucking good. Once again, just catchy, memorable songs, awesome riffs, just really good guitar solos, just everything you'd want out of good, progressive death metal. Although they're more known as like a melodic death metal band, I guess. Like a melodic, technical death metal, whatever. But, yeah, I mean, call it what you want. Really, really good music. I really like the, when they add the symphonic elements to a lot of these songs to make them just sound more beefed up and just more epic, and, yeah. Inferi, Revenant. Really fucking good. Okay. We're going to another one that I don't own physically. This time is Terrorizer with Caustic Attack. Terrorizer's first album in quite some time, and I've really seen many people talking about the new Terrorizer album. Terrorizer is one of my favorite grindcore bands. World Downfall, one of my all-time favorite, grindcore albums. And I think this is a really cool comeback for them. I don't think it'd been too many years since their last album, but it had definitely been a little while. But yeah, it's just a really solid album from Terrorizer. It's what you want. I guess I would have preferred a bit more of grindcore, because it's kind of like a lot of the songs are a bit longer. It's not like 1 minute, 2 minute, and with like 20 tracks. It's not like that. A lot of these songs are at least 3 to 4. I think there's even one 5-minute song on there. So I would have preferred a little more just grindcore, but it's a pretty good mix of like death metal and grindcore. Which I guess Terrorizer's always been kind of known as a death grind band to begin with, but yeah. Anyway, I obviously love it. It's on this list. Terrorizer, Caustic Attack. Really good. Next up, we go to Outer Heaven with Realms of Eternal Decay. Their debut, full length on Relapse Records. Man, this is some riffy as fuck death metal. Just the grooves, the hooks, these transitions. Man, these riffs will get your head to banging. It will have your head to banging, your head bobbing, just all the way through. It will pull you in, and it will not let go. It's so damn catchy and hooky. It's nuts. Man, there's such a variety of riffs on here. Slow riffs, stompy kind of riffs, fast, just you name it. It's on here. Very, very devastatingly heavy, solid death metal. Nope, I'm not going to talk about that. Save it for the end. But definitely came very close to being my favorite death metal album of the year until something else topped it. But we'll find out what that is later. So yeah, Outer Heaven, Realms of Eternal Decay. If you like death metal, please just fucking listen to this. Don't skip out on this. Next up, we go to Bloodbath with The Arrow of Satan is Drawn. This is released on Peaceville Records. Been a couple years since the last Bloodbath album, Grand Morbid Funeral. And they come back, and if you remember with my collection update when I last talked about this, I talked about some disappointments, and, it's still not my favorite Bloodbath album, but it is really growing on me. There's some really, really good stuff on here. I mean, I already said that I liked it overall the last time, but it's grown on me even more now. But yeah, still think there's some other Bloodbath albums ahead of it for sure. But some awesome tracks on here: Blood Aside, March of the Crucifiers, Only the Dead Survive, Chainsaw Lullaby. I just wish they kind of went with the the black metal vibe, which once again I kind of have a feeling that's due to bringing the guitarist from Craft into the mix. But don't get me wrong, this is still solid Swedish death metal. You know, it's not like they've gone black metal or anything, but there is a strong black metal vibe. I'm not going to deny that. That's definitely there. Yeah, Bloodbath, the Arrow of Satan is drawn. Next up, we go to Warrel Dane with Shadowwork. Warrel Dane's second solo album, and unfortunately his last recording ever, because he sadly passed away last year. But yeah, I really do, I love this album. I wish it could have gotten finished all the way because it's only like 40 minutes. Apparently, originally it was supposed to be like at least an hour long. But, you know, of course, with Warrel Dane's health, that wasn't able to happen. But what we did get, I'm very, very happy with. Very, very good songwriting on here. Warrel Dane's vocals, obviously because of his health, he does sound a little fatigued at times, but he also sounds really, really good most of the time. So, I love this band that he got together with. Apparently, he got hooked up with these guys like from Brazil, and they played the entire Dead Heart in a Dead World record with him from beginning to end, and that's how he brought them into his solo band. They do a hell of a job on here. Great riffs, amazing songwriting. Yeah, love it, love it, love it. As you know, Nevermore is one of my favorite bands, and this does sound a lot pretty similar to Nevermore. A lot more than what his last solo album did. His last solo album, he really just wanted to go for like a more like straightforward hard rock kind of vibe, but still be metal. On this one, he went super heavy on this. Another thing that I really thought was a highlight about this album was their cover of The Cure's The Hanging Garden. I've never heard the Cure version, but man, the version that they do on this, I absolutely love. It is one of the highlights for me, honestly. That and Mother is the Word for God and As Fast as Others. Yeah, great stuff. Just wish we could have got the full version. But yeah, Warrel Dane, Shadowwork, excellent. All right, next up, we go to Witherfall with a Prelude to Sorrow. This is their second full length. This is released on Century Media. Witherfall, of course, I talked about as the band that I discovered when I was wanting to see how the singer, Joseph Michael, was going to turn out with Sanctuary. And I've already talked about how he just blew my fucking mind live, and how I was really impressed after I heard their debut album, Nocturnes and Requiems. This is very, very similar to Nocturnes and Requiems in overall production and sound, and I think that's on purpose because they're both concept albums, and the concepts, I'm pretty sure, are somewhat related. So I think they did the similar sound on purpose, but it's just really good, dark, melodic, progressive metal. Joseph Michael's vocals are fucking fantastic. Great riffs on here, amazing guitar solos, and just overall guitar work in general. Yeah, love it. Witherfall, a Prelude to Sorrow. Next up, we go to Hissing with Permanent Destitution. This is their debut on Profound Lore Records. Hissing, I would say, is very, very similar to Portal, especially with the drumming and the overall weird way the guitars are played and arranged. Definitely reminds me of Portal, but I gotta be honest, I kind of preferred this a little bit over even as good as the new Portal was this year. I think I kind of like this better because this is kind of like just a heavier version of Portal. Just very good, chaotic, atmospheric death metal. It just sounds very disjointed at times, but just the drumming on here is really, really a highlight. I can't really describe it very well, but just go listen to the album and you'll see what I mean. Man, I love the drumming on this. And the vocals are obviously more of a traditional death growl than what, the Curator does, so the vocals aren't as good, in my opinion, as Portal. But I think for fans of Portal, for fans of Neltrot, yeah, you need to give this one a listen, especially if you're into just that that cavernous atmospheric death metal sound that a lot of bands are doing nowadays. Hissing is definitely worth your time. I really fucking enjoyed this. Okay, now, until I get to the top 3 all tied for the number 1 spot, I'm just quickly going to go over the rest of these, which I unfortunately don't have a physical release for. So next up is Mortuous with Through Wilderness. A very solid, just dark, old school, filthy death metal. Again, if you like Undergang and Phrenolith and all those type of new bands doing the old school death metal thing, definitely check out Mortuous. This was definitely one of my favorite death metal albums this year. Yeah. Next is Cosmic Atrophy with the Void Engineers. This is a side project from the guy who did Catilist, and this is very similar to Catilist. Not as good as that Catilist album, in my opinion, but yeah, if you like Demolic, Time Ghoul, Gorguts, I think you really enjoy this. Just really weird, abstract, Lovecraftian themed death metal. So yeah, Cosmic Atrophy with the Void Engineers. Next up, we go to Scorched with Ecliptic Butchery. This is released on $20 Spin. This is their second full length. I really enjoyed their last album, Echoes. What was Echoes of Disembowelment? Is that what it was? Oh man, I can't remember the title of their debut full length. Forgive me for that. But another solid album from Scorched. Once again, just that. This is. The last album was horror themed. This is as well. This is more like a sci-fi kind of horror theme, a little bit different than what they did on the first one. Very solid. Once again, just old school, fucking dirty, filthy death metal. Yeah, there was a lot of these type of death metal albums this year, and they were all really good. So yeah, Scorched, Ecliptic, Butchery. Next up, we have Nattravnen with Cult of the Raven. This is another Cam Lee project. This is the second Cam Lee project on this list. Another death metal project from Cam Lee, but he really went for the more like atmospheric route on this album. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, also more of like a blackened death metal kind of vibe, which is pretty different for Cam Lee compared to what he's done in the past. But yeah, really enjoyed this too. Next up is Black Viper with Hellions of Fire. This is a heavy speed metal band from Norway, and I think it's got one of the members from Deathhammer, if I remember correctly. If you enjoy, that heavy speed metal stuff like Exciter and, Agent Steel, those kind of bands, definitely give Black Viper a listen. This is a really cool speed metal album for sure. Next up, we go to Sacral Rage with Beyond Celestial Echoes. This was quite a find. I found this just from looking at my Bandcamp feed all the time, and a lot of people who follow me were talking very highly about this, and I decided to go check it out. A lot of people were comparing it to Hellstar, Agent Steel, and a few other like technical sort of like speed heavy metal bands from like the 90s and stuff. So that definitely caught my interest, and yeah, it is definitely very similar to Hellstar. This guy's voice is definitely like a mix of King Diamond and James Rivera. I'm a huge Hellstar fan, so this was definitely a very nice find for me personally. So yeah, Sacral Rage with Beyond Celestial Echoes. If you enjoy heavy speed metal, but on the technical side of things, definitely go check that out. Next up is Altre Tumba with Necrovortex. This is a Canadian death metal band, very much rooted in the Swedish style of death metal, but there's a lot of crust and like D-beat sort of influence to this, which kind of makes it stand out in a way. Yeah, very good. Yeah, very good, solid death metal from Altre Tumba, Necrovortex. And next is Sulphur Eon with The Scythe of Cosmic Chaos. Another solid album from Sulphur Eon, their third, released on Von Records, I think is what it's called, a German label. This is a German band. Is it as good as Gateway to the Antisphere? Is it better? I don't know. But, if even if it's not their best they've done so far, it's really, really fucking good. Black and death metal on the Lovecraftian side. Very, actually, very, very Lovecraftian. These guys really worship the Cthulhu quite a bit, you could say. And what they also did something a little different. Like, they brought in some more progressive elements, I feel like, and just tried to, they made some longer songs and just, yeah, way more progressive for Sulphur Aeon, but still very much black and death metal, but really good. Sulphur Aeon, the Scythe of Cosmic Chaos. And I'm seeing I'm out of time once again, so it looks like I'm going to have to make this 3 recording sessions. And I guess the next video I'll be talking about my 3 albums all tied for the #1 spot. So we got one more video to go. I'll see you in part 3. Take it easy.